Hello? Nuts. How are you today, everybody? We've got some really good games for you. Not really, just a few. Okay. Alright, guys, what's up? Alright, Astrobate's alive. That's the important thing. Ponda is alive. Barely. And, we're analyzing Servants games today. It's Servant Game Day. Yeah, I would call them slaves, but that's not politically correct. So, I'm the master, you're the serfs. And we've got 2 games submitted from National Master Clutcher of Camels and the very tough Antonio Morales. Sadly, no Astrobate games yet. When he will get back online, we don't know. Before we start, we can do a puzzle or something to wake up here. Ooh, 2572. God, I'm good. Candidate Masters Secret Pieces, 2617. Okay. White. Find the best move for white. Let's see. Mate in 1, 2, 3. Mate in 1, 2. But I'm in check. Alright, we're in check. That sucks. Alright. Yep. And that raises the question where the king should go. To G2 or H2. Why would it matter? Yeah, it matters. Rook G1. So it has to be king H2. So basically the first move is a gimme. You have to play king H2. You know, but the weird thing about this so-called puzzle is that after pawn takes F6, I'm not really sure what our next move is there. I guess just bishop takes E3. Yeah, simple. So king H2 has to be. Oh, fuck me. Excuse me. That's wrong. Wow. Not my day today. King H2 is wrong. So king G2, rook G1 check. King H2. Dropping the bishop on G5. Not a problem. I mean, I'm not understanding that one. Wow. Wow. Rook E1, Queen F1, and King G2. Those are other options. I don't do puzzles for a living, and this puzzle is very strange. We just got it wrong. But I'm trying to understand, like, what could possibly be the benefit of King G2? Why in the world would you play King G2? What the heck? King G2, Rook G1 check, King H2 only move. Because if you play King H2, what's the problem? Bishop F4. Now I understand. Oh my god, so it's mate on G1. Wow. Now I understand. King H2, Bishop F4 check, opening up Queen G1 mate. Best not to do puzzles while we're not awake yet. So you actually have to do King G2. Allow this. And then win anyway. And that's the weird part of the puzzle, isn't it? That we're still winning here. Because of the beautiful Queen E6. Oh my god. So Bishop H7. These are tricky. That was a tricky one. All right. We lost. Nice puzzle. Gotta be awake for the puzzles. And nobody's here. So, all right, download in progress. Not happening. What's up, guys? Talk to me. Talk to me. We've got game analysis on the way. Serbs. Nobody's online. That's fine. That's fine. 20 minutes. Should have started streaming 20 minutes ago. I'm 20 minutes late. Wow. Am I live? We're live. Just don't have anybody. Nobody's here yet. Very hot here, Budapest. So, oops, there goes my trophy. Whoops. Okay. So, all right, whatever. What are we gonna do? Try another puzzle. Weird. Queen h6. Kind of looks like a no-brainer. There is bishop e3. I would say there's also takes on d5 in multiple ways. So it's kind of scary. Queen h6. One can play bishop takes d5 check or queen takes d5 check. Queen takes d5 check, probably not so good. I'm guessing queen h6. Oh, we got it right. Now the question is, Ohio 21? Ohio. I need to get glasses. Oslo. That's cool. Literally not cool, but relatively cool. Budapest 29. Twitchy mobile tour. You're not Thomas Streinson, are you? I know he was in Norway. One of our old viewers. 21 is not too bad. I think it's like gonna be like 30 in the UK this week, or whatever. But Eastern Europe's totally different. I had the air conditioner on, but I can't leave it on when I'm working because it's like right next to me, and I'll freeze myself. It's a rough life. Okay, rook takes e3, followed by queen h4. Queen h4 immediately. The problem with that move is bishop g5. That's as far as I analyzed. Honestly, rook e3, queen e3, queen h4, and black is winning, according to my primordial analysis. I'm in your Pana team. Okay. That's good. That's good. If you guys are in the Pana team, that's a good start. Score BA has followed. I'm just getting started. Normally we do analysis of subscriber games on Thursday nights, but if we don't have any subscribers, we can't have any analysis games. I do have 2 games in the hopper, but neither of those players is here at the moment. So that's all I've got for today. 2 games so far to analyze, and I'm not sure those players are necessarily going to be here for the analysis. So one of them is in Sicily, the other one is in Colorado, a little bit. So I think rook takes e3, and now queen h4. Now, hopefully I didn't get this puzzle wrong. Yeah, maybe. I mean, well, we do have to consider just taking queen takes queen. There's one variation that concerns me, in particular there. If queen takes queen, pawn takes queen, bishop takes g3, bishop takes d5 check, king h8, and then rook g1, skewering my bishops to each other. There's also bishop takes b7. I mean, I think I have to keep the queen on the board. Queen h4 is correct, king h8, and we got it right. So we got 1 out of 2, ain't bad. Not bad for somebody who was like falling asleep. I gained 30 points in that puzzle. Wow, that was a big puzzle. That must have been considered a very hard puzzle. Anyway, I am a little bit sleepy because I keep very strange hours, and I did not drink my coffee because I was saving it for the stream. So I just started drinking my coffee 5 minutes ago, and I was taking a little nap before the stream. I'll feel better once the smoke clears. But I'm not awake yet. That's why I got the first puzzle wrong. All right, you're up on the team. You're from Oslo. We got it. I got 2 games here. Two analysis games, but we usually have more. So let's see. Study. My studies. If you guys seen that blog where somebody says analyzing random players' games, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. All right. What do you guys want to start with? The epic Sladgy Camel Culture game from yesterday, from our tournament yesterday. Oh my god. We should analyze this from Camel Culture's perspective because he used his subscriber powers to submit the game. The shame of losing this game was so great he had to submit it as a form of self-punishment. So, title player battle from yesterday's Ponda. Were you there? Twitch Mobile Thor? Is it true that skull means skull in Viking? Knight f3, d5, and I played g3. Opponent plays the very solid c6. Now bishop g2, and now bishop g4. And this move is a good move because it gives black quite a bit of flexibility. A lot of people just play the routine knight f6 here. And I think bishop g4 is more, it's more ambitious than that kind of routine move. Why do I like bishop g4 better? I mean, we could play knight f6 whenever, and there are some important variations based on c4 white can play. So I did play this type of line for a while. But it always leads to these lines where, or it often leads to lines where white ends up playing like queen b3 and black plays queen b6. It's very dry. I don't like those lines where both sides are like offering a queen trade. I mean, it's pretty boring, to be honest. So other than that, I mean, white's only good option is to play like a real King's India, which is what I always did. I mean, when I'm black, this is a Tory attack with colors reversed. And when I'm black, I play the King's Indian. I used to play the King's Indian all the time, and I play it only rarely now. But I know what I'm doing. And white here could castle. But the thing is, with this early bishop g4, and again, one of the advantages of not committing to knight f6, black has a lot of flexibility in different setups. If I play h3 too early, it can be kind of a loss of time. I think h3 is fine. Having said that, if black trades, this is like what happens in the game a little bit later. I'm not really worried about that. But more importantly, what is white setup here? So I played d3. One can also play d4. But d4 is not really my style. I mean, I like to keep the pawn, fluid, pawn structure fluid. So d3. It's interesting. Castles is white's #1 move here because I think it's kind of routine. You commit the king early. Black sometimes plays knight d7 and stuff like h5, and this is what he tried to do in the game. Whoa. School is a proper Viking word. But we have transposed from plundering to poker and chess. Yes, the Scandinavians. I know. I'm also plundering because chess leads to perpetual brokenness. All right. But I still love chess, so if I wanted to plunder, I'd be plundering at the poker club right now. But I'm just sharing my knowledge as a very friendly chess player. d3 and knight d7, best move from young camel culture. Again, not committing knight f6, keeping, these like attacking options. Look, I'm the biggest critic of all time of these like London system players who castle queenside and shit. But I think the Tory attack's a little bit better than the London in that respect, that your bishop's more actively placed on g4. You take out the knight at f3, like what camel culture does in this game. Play h5, h4. This is not a joke, I mean, queen c7, castle queenside. The London isn't designed for that, but I think this is a bit better. Black can play h5. Black still hasn't committed. Even sometimes you might see e5 or e6. We don't know. So I played h3. Another interesting moment where the majority of players play knight on bd2 here. Well, the majority of games in opening are knight on bd2. I mean, there's nothing wrong with knight on bd2. I just don't really understand why it needs to be played now. No, it's a reverse Tory attack, King's Indian. So I prefer h3. And this is a very important moment. I think, I mentioned Tarjan Kramnik, where Kramnik lost a similar game with white at the Isle of Man a few years ago when he was trying to press for a win against an older, weaker opponent. Kramnik played stuff like this with white. I like to play this way. I'm not committed to castling kingside, but I don't know. I think that black should play bishop h5. I can be wrong. My experience in the Tory attack is that playing against the Tory attack, white should not fear this, let's say, g4, knight h4 thing. So, personally, I think that camel culture should play bishop h5. And if white wants to do something like this, that's fine. If g4, bishop g6, knight h4, fine. But white creates dark square weaknesses to some degree, playing g4. I'm not sure that that's necessarily good. And my experience has always been that it's not necessarily the best way to go. So I think that black should definitely play bishop h5 here. Having said that, this is not a terrible move, bishop takes f3. Now we have a very interesting position where I seriously consider taking with the e-pawn. If I take with the e-pawn, we would transpose to effectively like a kind of reverse Trompowsky, where black plays g6 against Trompowsky, takes f4, knight d2, knight f3. It's very standard. It's a perfectly good way for white to play. Let's see who did that. 3 players played e takes f. Sure, Tunic, okay, Grandmaster, Slovakian IM, Petran Peter, and another random female player I don't know, Elishka Richtova. Okay, but bishop takes f is the better, more flexible way to play. Now, Camel Culture plays e5. Notice how bad black's score is with e5. Bro, look at that. 11 games and white won almost every single game. Well, still, I think it's kind of a coincidence. But maybe there is something to it. Why 11 games isn't a statistical sample size, but why is black's score so bad against e5 versus knight f6 now? Or e6 or g6 or anything? So e5, I still think it's not that bad. It doesn't address the white squares. So the white squares are like a problem for black in the long run. Notice here most people played e4. Why didn't I play e4? I'll tell you why I didn't play e4. Because I thought that it kills my bishop on g2. And I would rather try to pry open this diagonal and soften the d5. So honestly, I could play c4, but then black can bail and play one of these symmetrical structures, like pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. So c4 has to be prepared. I played bishop g2, and notice Dubov had the same exact position, and Antipov, another strong grandmaster, we're in one of their opponents played h5 here. I mean, I made fun of Camel Culture, but I mean, this is ridiculous. h5. I don't think that h5 should ever be played unless white castles, to be honest. Knight f6 is fine. White slightly better. Now, even now I didn't castle. So unfortunately, the Dubov game, the black guy castled against him and lost. I mean, the black player against Dubov, Bezgadov is an old grandmaster, like my age, or even older. Played h5 against Dubov. Good luck with that, bro. Although Dubov was much younger, it was 2013. All right, whatever. So knight f6, and now most players castle, but again, I don't want to commit myself, so I played knight d2, and I think this is good. The idea with knight d2 is that we support c4, being able to recapture with the pawn. And in my experience, the double fianchetto, it's okay, but it's not great. When you play b3 and these kings Indians create a hippo or whatever, maybe another possibility for white is e3. It's a way like we would play as black against the Trompowsky, Karpov style, queen e2. Stay flexible. So knight d2. And we've got some good players with white here. Hare Krishna and Nevednichi both played the same position with white. So, Chess Zebra, big news. Big. Astrobate is okay. He emailed me, and he's okay. I don't know if you caught me mention this on the stream, but he still doesn't have enough money for an iPad. I don't know why you can't log in and tell me you're alive, because you don't have an iPad, but that's how it works when you're Astrobate. So We're just relieved that he's okay. Fortunately, his mean landowner takes away all his money for rent, and so he cannot afford to have an iPad. And there's another thing in Nevada, the state where he lives, in Las Vegas. There's like a 50 plus Medicaid program that I think maybe got cut or something like that. So he probably has less money or something like that. All right, knight d2, and now the idea is c4. I mean, I don't know. All right, knight d2, it's okay. And now Camel Culture getting very aggressive here with bishop c5. The number one move. It was played by Anarkiev. 2 good games here. 3 good games. Anarkiev. Black against Hare Krishna. Lisi against Demidog. What was the name of the thing from Stranger Things? A Demidog, right? Demidov. And Navanichi versus Slingers. Okay, bishop c5 now. Now e3. Only one player played e3. Ava Mozart, who passed away sadly like 10 years ago. She was a very strong men's IM from Austria, who I met, and she was really nice. And sadly, much younger than me, passed away. Good player. She played e3. It looks like, and ended up losing, but a game back in 1999 to a fellow Austrian IM. I think e3 is good. She obviously didn't lose because of the opening. But notice that her opponent an experienced Austrian IM with black, Sommerbauer. He castled kingside. Shocker, right? See, that's what a human being plays. You're not an animal, you're respecting your opponent, you're playing normally, you castle. Right. You castle, I castle. And then the game goes on. But not Camel Culture. Okay. E3. This move, let's be fair, it's not so bad. Okay? Queen e7. He's clearly being a cannibal, and he's like all the London system players. At this point, I'm like, dude, I'm not castling either. And giving you a free, penalty kick with h5. Why did black give white? Oh my god, chess zebra. Wow. Are you serious? But you don't know? Wow. Do you guys see this question? Damn, you're gonna learn something today. Bro. You answer me the question. Bishop g4 often is related to the Romantic era. R.G. Wade. I went over to his house to check out his library once. I bet you didn't know that. R.G. Wade had like the second largest chess library in Europe, I was told. Back in 1993, I believe it was 93, I got to check it out. Charing Cross in London. Going once, going twice. Why did white give black so much space? It's a reverse hedgehog. Hedgehog smedgehog. It's not a hedgehog. It's a half hippo, if you want. Milton Bradley doesn't understand either, Chess Zebra. I don't think that black is better. Black is at best equal in this position because of this. You have to understand bishops are worth more than knights. And notice the strategy didn't play e4. Because this bishop, it's not shut out. we have this, and this is the plan. But not just that, not just c4. The magic white square can opener. If you try to play like these caveman London players, you're going to get rook b1 and b4, a3, b4. So all of this is coming for you on the queen side. That's my normal strategy if I'm white and I'm playing these London guys who don't know how to play chess and they try to castle queenside into London. So if Camel Culture, well, I mean, you'll see what I did here. If you castle with white, yeah, black's got a good game, but I don't. And this is a waiting move. And I'm now going to go rook b1. I'm hoping he castles queenside so I can start to rip him a new one with, a3, rook b1, and c4 and b4 and whatever. All right. But he doesn't castle queenside. You know what he should play here? Either castle kingside, like a normal human being, or maybe he could play a5. I think a5 it's a little weakening. Honestly, I haven't played b3. I think in the case of a5, I would probably play c4. And maybe black can take and do like bishop check. I would probably play king f1 here because I don't want to trade my bishop pair off. I can navigate, I can even do, I know really hardcore, hippo players who would standardly go like, a Benko Gambit type of thing with king g1, king h2. This is absolutely fine for white. So we want the magic of the white squares. So I think he should castle. I mean, there's no other good plan here, man. I mean, another move, yeah, risky also, any sort of thing, like b5, you run out of moves to do, dude. Just castle, This is what he should do. Play like a human being and castle. Yes, it's boring, but there's nothing else to do. That's it. Anything else is bad. This is crazy, You're crazy. This is nuts. And now, so now your king is, well, where is it going to go in the long run? Are you going to castle after playing h5? Are you still going to animal style caveman cannibal castle queenside? See, this is a key move, a3, so I don't have to see like bishop b4. I'm ready to play rook b1, b4, c4, c4 without worrying about bishop b4, right? And now, Camel Culture just doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. There's no good plan for black here. Maybe you could try, to be honest, something I didn't seriously consider, but, well, I mean, an idea that needs to be considered that's very radical would be e4. But, I mean, this is kind of the right idea, at least. If he could tell you guys a story, long ago, there was some Smyslov-Kasparov game when they played in like the 80s, and Smyslov could still play. It was like, maybe they even had a candidates match or something. I don't remember, but like 1982, 81. I mean, I was not playing chess yet, but I'm just saying I know Smyslov had white in some game, I believe, against Kasparov, where this theme is common, though this pawn can become weak. Like, if I triple up on the pawn on e4, how do you protect it? Well, tactically, I guess. Something like that, But that's the debate. I mean, the pawn, it blunts the bishop on g2, but also is a target in itself. So that would be very sharp, obviously. So anyway, I don't like h5, and I don't like h4 even more. h4 is bad. Now he plays g4. Now white is better. my opinion. This h4 didn't help him. I don't have any sort of permanent weaknesses there. You know, he can't like get a knight on g3 or a knight on f4. It's not like I played e4, right? There's no f4 hole. If I've played e4, he has knight f8, knight e6, knight f4. I don't have a hole, you know. I'm very, very solid. Now black plays a5, and now it's my turn. And okay, it's a blitz game. I'm down to 3 minutes. My opponent has 4. At this point, I played it like a normal hippo. The computer doesn't like b3 for some reason. It says I had c4. So it's probably, I think the computer's probably right. I was afraid of a4. This is the right plan, but I'm afraid he can wedge this pawn on a4 and restrict me. Whatever. Okay, b3. And Camel Culture does this. He does it on the other side too. This is dumb. That doesn't matter anymore. I just play b4. Actually, I don't even have to. Well, actually, yeah, maybe I do have to because he's tripleizing here on a3. Although that would be tricky to capture that. b4. And now bishop d6, I guess. Here I took the time to play bishop b2, but maybe it's not necessary. You know, I could play c4 directly, which is a little more like immediate undermining of the center. Now bishop b2, and now knight h7. And I think that white is seriously worse now. Knight h7 is like living in a fantasy world. And now this, and you got to give Camel Culture credit for being creative, but his position is sort of hanging together by a thread here. He plays knight d f6. His pieces are like, you know, pretzel knights. And unfortunately, at this point, you know, I started telling stories. I was white, and if you watch the stream from yesterday, you can listen to my stories. I don't remember what I was talking about, like poker. But as you can see, white has sort of ideal bishops, right? Hippo bishops, putting pressure on the center. Black has pretzel knights. G5, unfortunately, doesn't work. So I guess I have probably a lot of moves here with white. There's no immediate threat for him, or threat really at all, for that matter. Where the heck is black supposed to put his king? I guess king side. But how can I just put a little bit more pressure on the center here? Unfortunately, he has f4 covered. Because, I mean, f4 would be the next step in the central, you know, destruction of black's position. I mean, I guess a really creative thinker here might even go like rook f1 or something. Okay, I castled. It's fine. It's got to be fine to castle. But I might have another move, like rook c1. Maybe I have a more patient move. Castles, I'm not afraid of this. Knight g5. Notice the magic of the white squares. Again, he's not threatening anything. You know, what is he going to do with his rook on h8 through the pawn? Like a nuclear, you know, energy or something? He only has one knight attacking a light square there, a knight attacking a light square there, a knight attacking a light square there. That's it. That's all of his white square pressure. And so now I exchange pawns on d5. These squares are really important, so he takes back with the pawn. And at this point, I could make a routine move like rook c1, open file. But I'm down to 22 seconds and my opponent has 2.5 minutes because I was telling stories. But ultimately, I think my next move is fine. I played rook a e1. And the idea was to defend my queen so that I can play f4. So watch what happens. Castles. So we both end up castling kingside. He just puts his pawns on h4 and a4 because he's a macho man. f4. E takes f4, e takes f4, queen takes e2, rook takes e2. And now, unfortunately, he has knight e6. And really oddly here, well, I was down to 17 seconds to a minute 48, but I don't think, I mean, I became a little bit confused in the time scramble. It's obvious that I can play bishop takes knight and undermine d5. I think that I actually calculated knight takes f4, but that probably doesn't work because of rook takes f4, bishop takes f4. Yeah. No, it actually should work. Knight takes f4. Rook f4, bishop f4, yeah. White's probably better here, but it's okay. It's not that clear. But let's just say, okay, I was concerned about knight takes f4, but did I have to be? It's possible I pulled the trigger on f4. I mean, maybe I played f4 too early here. I'll show you another move that looks kind of interesting. I don't have all day, though. I mean, queen d1. I don't have all day, but what does he do after queen d1? Hello? I mean, the point is we play f4, and we're going to open up on that queen on e7. It looks pretty good. Maybe queen c7, tripleizing here. His play is on the dark squares, right? Okay, so I played it, I had to play it, whatever. Takes, 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 knight e6. Now, I played this, defending f4. If you trade on f4, I'm better. And I'm threatening bishop takes f6 and bishop takes d5. So Camel Culture comes up with a defense. He plays rook d8, indirectly defending this pawn on d5, I guess. But I didn't have time to really think. And so, you know, at the end of the day, after the game, I said, oh, maybe I should have just played bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6, pawn takes f6. But the thing is, he has bishop takes d5, and then it's not clear. It's not clear. Like bishop takes b4, bishop takes e6, bishop takes d2, bishop takes f7 check, rook takes f7, rook takes. Maybe black can hold on in this rook endgame, this type of stuff. But the computer says I had f5. Now this move I underestimated. I guess if I played f5, he would have gone knight g5. Why can't he go knight g5? But I think that white is a lot better. You know, I have man-eating bishops on the long diagonals. That's why he had a space advantage. I mean, what's the valuation here? Plus, wow, it's only a third of a pawn for white. And bishop takes f6 is not good, apparently. Bishop f6, pawn f6, bishop takes d5, and actually bishop takes f4. Wow. Bishop takes e6, bishop takes d2, another draw. But anyway, okay, so bishop takes f6 is just a draw. Rook a d8. But in time pressure, very sadly here, I blundered. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. I really know what I was thinking. I just totally like spaced and absolutely blundered now with this stupid move g5. I guess I know what it was. I thought I had knight h5 f5 and I didn't remember he had knight h5. It was something very stupid, like I just forgot he could do this or something like that. g5 is just a ridiculous move in the situation and time pressure. I could have gone here, which is what I did a little bit later. Anything else? This is a terrible blunder. Now black's better, and the whole thing is spiraled out of control. He has a minute and a half to my 10 seconds with a 3-second increment. A move I didn't consider. Well, this is a huge threat. I didn't consider g6, I guess because I figured it was too slow, and it probably is. So we did this. He took, I took, and now he grabbed the pawn because that's what people do. They grab material. He had a better move, apparently. Knight g3 first. More accurate. Then you can grab the pawn. Well, I don't know. Rook e1. g6. This is a weird position. But black's space is an advantage now. Instead, he took, and I had this move rook f5, forcing him to play f6. And at least now I damage his pawn structure. Pawn takes, g takes. So I'm down a pawn, but all of his pawns are isolated practically. Okay, these are technically not isolated, but we both have a ton of isolated pawns. Black's threatening knight g3, forking. And now I blundered again. But this is hard to see. Bishop takes d5 check. Getting my pawn back seemed like a good idea at the time. But I guess it's not a good idea because I can't stop this fork. Well, I thought I could. Here, knight e4. There's a problem. A big problem. Yeah, he just has the fork. I mean, he misses it. And he gets excited because I'm in time pressure. He goes here right away. Terrible blunder. All he had to do was take first and then win the exchange with knight g3. But maybe there was something what we missed. I guess we saw it, but we missed knight takes e4, rook takes h5, and then he still has this. He has a stupid fork no matter what, you know. So a lot of blunders and time pressure. Anyway, the funny thing is, like, he blunders, I play knight takes g3, and now I'm fine. King g2. This is the moral of the story, Chess Zebra. The game was a comedy of errors, but at the end of the day, it's like very clear that white is better. These pawns are targets to the light square. Bishop that's dominating the knight on g5. I'm threatening h4. His knight's almost trapped. I have an outside pass pawn. g3 is falling. He plays well though. Rook h8, stopping h4. And at this point, I was about to flag. And I didn't like king takes g3, rook takes h3 check, so this is sort of a panic move. But it opens up the possibility of lateral mobility for my rook. I wasn't sure rook b5 or rook a5, attacking those queenside pawns. He takes, check, king takes g3, and now it's probably a draw, but he is a pawn down. The best move was rook d3 check, rook f3, rook f3, rook f3. He's got to hold the rook endgame a pawn down. This is not easy, but the pawn on a4 is very useful. Check, here, takes, and now you force my rook back to a passive position. It gives you a chance to go active with your rook. Okay, the computer likes this move. I don't know about that. I don't love it. I would think like rook c8 or something here. But the moral of the story is that black probably holds on, because the pawn in a4 is dangerous if I lose my a3 pawn. He blunders, rook h6. I'm a clear pawn up now. Check, king f4. Here, this is a mistake. I make a mistake. A lot of errors in the endgame with low time. But then we got to this thing that was funny. A lot of mistakes in the time pressure. Me too. And now rook takes f3, king takes f3, check. This is probably a draw now. So I'm still up a pawn. But his outside pawn is a major distractor. Here, here, here. A good move, saving his f pawn. Here, and then here back, b5, whatever, a3, rook b6, attacking his pawn, king g7, h6, check, takes, and now it's in the table base. But, you know, okay, it's not an automatic draw. His king is a little bit out of play. King g7, rook a6. Now, if he's smart here, he takes on b5. In my opinion, this is a very serious mistake. It's increment, but, you know, don't be trying to win here. If you've got a clear draw on the board, rook takes b5, rook takes a3, king f6, dead draw. The rook is in a perfect position. His rook is in a perfect position. After takes, it guards the line here. This is a textbook draw. Any idiot can draw this position. But he doesn't trade pawns. After rook a6, he goes king f7. I'm like, what are you doing? King f5. Now he takes, but it's different. See? Here. Now he doesn't have the standard like draw set up. He goes back, defends his pawn. I check. King f8. So I'm playing for a win, you know, pawn versus pawn. But here at least I have a chance to win. King f6, check. King in front. And then rook h3, which is okay. Rook check. See, but this is an awkward position. He could go wrong, theoretically. King e7, rook e3, e6, king g6, rook a5, cutting him off, rook d3. Yes, it's a draw. King e8, king f6, e7, rook e3, rook a6 check, king g7. And now, I'm just playing on, hoping he makes a mistake. Rook a4. And, you know, I guess, I don't know if this is just a blunder or he thought it's just a draw, even if he drops his pawn. I really don't understand, you know, what he's thinking here. Like, for me, rook g3. You stop the rook check, right? Your king can't be driven away. I can't just like build a bridge, you know, he's got a pawn on a3. It's a dead draw. But instead he drops the pawn. And bro is lost. He's just lost. It's like a standard lost position. So, but that never should have happened, you know. Rook a4, rook g3. How do I try for a win here? The pawn is his only, you know, asset in this position. He didn't need to drop it. So what do? I try to walk my king out. Okay, let's say king d7. Check. King e6. Check. And now, in order to build a bridge, I'm going to have to let him have access to f7. So I can't win. if I was to play for a win, I would probably play, well, what, like rook a6, right? And they'll cut me off again. So let's say rook a5 maybe. We keep this check alive. Looks like he has tons of moves that hold here. But not king f6, king f8. So he wants to keep his king on g7 to be sure. Rook b3, and now I would play, I don't know. It's just a draw. Anyway, all right. This is beating a dead horse at this point. But, you know, the bigger mistake from black there was really this, you know, here. Cardinal rule of like drawing slightly worse endgames. Simplify. So here, just take the pawn. Take the pawn, king f, wherever. You know, king g6, king f6, it doesn't matter. But you got the perfect rook position because this is king f6 and now king f4. You know how it goes, right? Like rook c5, rook a6 check, king e7, and the minute he goes e5, we go down. And then that's the easiest, you know, draw in the easiest draw in rook and pawn, the most fundamental rook and pawn versus rook endgame of all time. This no one can lose this. You check him wherever he goes, you know, that's it. So all right. Now we've got another game submitted from the director. Director, are you with us? Karpov Kasparov, Linares, 1993. Jeez. They're still alive. All right. I'm still alive. My studies here. All right. Paste. Hope you're not repeating this. I don't think so. Are you? Well, you tell me. So Morales is next. Morales wanted to spend special attention to the opening in this game. He said, just in case you can devote 5 minutes during your today's stream to this opening theory mini lesson for the audience. How not to play the Paulson with black. Okay. So, if anybody wants to subscribe, subscribers can submit games for analysis. No random noobs. Hot in here, especially after drinking coffee. It's 28 degrees Celsius here. There you are. Yeah, Camel Culture, we just studied our rook end games. Yeah. Obviously, we made tons of mistakes, but despite all that, it wasn't such a bad game. I mean, it wasn't a good game, but it has some instructive value. Unfortunately, I let the time go during story hour yesterday. All right. So, nice to see you back. E4, C5. This is Morales' lesson on the Sicilian. Knight C3. Very tricky move order because this stupid bishop B5 is really annoying. You know, I still can't. It's not that easy to equalize against that. And you can, but you have to be very precise. It's better than anyone ever thought. So I've also been using this move order for black. And it depends on what variation of the Sicilian you play, obviously, if you can do this. I love to play against the Grand Prix attack. The Grand Prix attack sucks against e6. So white's options are knight f3, you know, the chameleon Sicilian with knight e2, or g3. You know, that's it. Forget about f4. Yeah, I mean, those are your three moves. I don't know. G3 doesn't have a good score, but there's really nothing wrong with that move. I don't know why its score is so bad. I guess weak players play the closest thing with G3. Morales is here. You just read Dvoretsky. Pawns against rook. Changing the leadership. Oh, wish we could activate that in the United States. We did that in Hungary too. They need one in Russia. All right, E6, knight F3. Well, this is the most aggressive move. G3. We played this, right, Morales? G3, D5 is an interesting line. I don't understand why black has like such a good score here, because that's retarded. Black is not better, obviously. So it tells you something. Really good players don't play the closed Sicilian. The lesson from this. You got the rare exceptions like Nigel Short, Gawain Jones. But for the most part, it's a club opening, you know. It's hard to learn, and I think that it takes a lot of skill. But anyway, knight f3 is a little bit of both. I mean, this 92 move is interesting too, because you have the ability to do both g3 and knight c6. I like to play knight on g to e2. Knight f3, and now if knight c6, you got another option. Black has two good moves in this position, knight c6 or a6. I suppose knight f6 is playable, right? That would be a lot of problems, though. I mean, if knight f6 d4, well, okay. I mean, knight f6 you could play kind of Nimzovich, right? If e5 knight d5, this is definitely playable for black. But it's a sideline. Either knight c6 or a6. If a6, I like g3, and I argue that I can use my standard dogma that g3 is always good against a6, and g6 is always good against a3. So the dogma applies. Good close Sicilian for white. Again, statistically, it says black is scored plus after b5, but don't believe it. You know, Morales, actually, you played this line too. White is not worse here for sure. The engine says what, 0.2. So what does it tell you? People who play the white side of the closed Sicilian, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They don't really understand it. Right, white is two pieces out, but it is a closed structure at the moment. I mean, there are no open lines yet. That's the trick. The Sicilian is a dangerous opening, Camel Culture. What a lot of people don't realize, it's a dangerous opening. Your king is in the middle of the board. White's getting out in two moves. But you know, and I used to think this way too. I mean, I was like, okay, but there's no open files. What could possibly go wrong? You know. But I'm just saying, like, imagine that white has a losing score after b5 in this position. Now I ask you, who the fuck is playing those games? These are master games over the board. Who is playing these games? That white is like 28 to 33% after b5. Who is playing white here, bro? I see Adams and Aronian, but beyond that, man, I mean, the other people must be really bad. Anyways, you can play d4, of course. You can even play a4, like pretend you're out of Kamsky. I'm sure a4 is a move. All right, whatever. So, but anyway, I think knight c6 is fundamentally, you know, probably the best. And obviously d4 is a transition to open Sicilian. And g3, it's playable. It's not quite as good as like say against a6, but of course it's playable. But the interesting move is bishop b5, which is, it's like a hybrid. I mean, it's a kind of Rossolimo. It's a Rossolimo sideline, right? I don't know what you call this, like a pseudo Rossolimo or delayed, maybe Rossolimo deferred. G4 Brian Wall style. My God. Just rook G1. That's like drug move. Emery tape, smoking dope. Nothing wrong with rook G1. So, all right. Anyways, I think knight c6 is the critical line, but these lines are tricky. You know, bishop here, knight on g to e7, for example, d4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes. I always thought this was like stupid for white because like what? Well, okay, what is your bishop on b5 doing? Bishop b5 could go bad for black, of course. Here, white, you know, here I think white has legitimately a plus score. Yeah, the bishop on b5 is stupidly placed, but also black's knight is stupidly placed on e7. So, and the position's opening up now. So this is a very dangerous line. So black has to play what, like knight d4? This must be critical. And that transposes to that the bishop b5 knight c6 thing. You know, this is a transposition to one of those lines, which is also, again, very, very tricky. I lost to Sima Toei, I think, playing this. This African guy from, you know, he's like the African grandmaster. Anyway, a6, where is he from? Like Zambia or something? a6, g3. This is good. This is what I talked about. And now, interestingly, black doesn't go b5. Well, good for black, because he's probably right not to do b5. Yeah. d6 is bad. I know from experience. d6 is like playing, and I learned this a long time ago. It's like playing the, don't play the hedgehog against the King's Indian or the closed Sicilian, you know? Because white has, and I've talked about this before, what I call the four, this sort of thing, usually, sorry, here, this f4 break with f4, f5, black has no answer to that. There's no answer to f4, f5. It's just better for white. Black has no pawn break. So you can't do d6. Better to play for d5. So this is a legit question now. d5 is not good here. Is it? Maybe this is an important question. Gawain Jones. Movsesian versus Mises. E takes d5. E takes d5. And Mises is big, not a high rated grandmaster, but he's very expert in what he plays. Snake Benoni. The g5 too much? Do we need to ask that question? Not an, oh no, too much, too much. It's too open. Boom. So this line must be critical. It's a good line for white, it looks like. So d5 is too early. After g3, knight c6, bishop g2, black plays knight f6. So g3, knight c6, bishop g2. Obviously, you can play d4 there, but what is black's move now? I'm surprised more people didn't play d5. Only 4 games where black attempted d5 here. The engine actually thinks queen b6 is the best move. That didn't hit the frickin' board, man. Okay, if I kick up the depth, it'll go away. Queen c7 is a normal move. Queen b6 is still up there. I did that against this guy. Thomas. He's an FM. I had a game where I was white. It was like a reversed version of this, and in English where I did this. It's a weird idea. I also saw. I saw Notch got bored to it in a similar type position where we're artificially like preventing you from playing d4, even though we're blocking our own b pawn. We didn't really plan on playing b5 anyway. That's an interesting idea. This move needs to be investigated. Maybe this is a cool way to play for black. It's kind of tricky. Although I would imagine you can just do like a normal closed Sicilian. You know, you still have your standard thing. I mean, maybe there's some question whether black could somehow play like g6 and bishop g7. But, you know, probably has to play d6 first. Castles. Now, can he get away with like g6, let's say? There's some interesting stuff here. You know, queen b6 is, it looks a little artificial. So there's no way for black to fully equalize. Black play knight f6, but that allows what? Okay, knight f6 is good. Is this for real? Knight on e7. Klaus Bischoff against Kapraychik, 1989. Kapraychik. Bischoff is an excellent. He's an excellent English Sicilian player. Okay, this was in 1989, but he's already a GM. He also tells you like how to fix the position if you made an illegal move. It's very handy to have him like sitting next to you. You hear this little voice coming from the next table telling you like put the pawn back on a7, stuff like that. Knight on g to e7, preparing g6, but maybe d5. So if you castle, yeah, Klaus likes probably d6, huh? This looks a little odd for black. What did he do here? Against Kapraychik, he lost. g6, he tried g6. No, that's too weak. d6. Nope. What could he have done? Queen c7? No, yeah. There's another game where Bischoff played Queen c7 against Sirich, 1992. What the hell did he play? Didn't play knight g6, did he? Oh my god. He did this twice. Wow. He did this twice. Oh my god, that's perverse. And inviting White to play h4. No way. I am not playing this against Kapraychik in his prime. That's crazy. All right, anyway. Offbeat ideas. But knight f6 is pretty good. Now you play d4. But having said that, okay, you don't have to play d4, right? You could castle. Rallies. So this is an important moment because you're not committed to playing d3 or d4 yet. Why not castle? Are you afraid like Aldisto will log on and play queen c7 and h5? No, Camel Culture will play for h5. Wait, if we castle, yeah, Camel Culture will whip out the h5. There is one game here. Skripchenko. Nice. Ah, Women's Championship. So, but seriously, folks, I don't think h5 is a good move. Morozevich on the list, Dubov on the list. I think they have some kind of connection. That has not been confirmed. D3 is definitely bad, but playable. It's passive. Why? You know, the beauty of White's position is that you have flexibility to play D3 or D4. You'd rather play D4, but I'd rather keep him guessing if I can. You know, so one more move when he doesn't know if you're going to play D3 or D4. Maybe Black does something stupid like Queen C7. Maybe it's not stupid though. I mean, I probably played this position against you, Morales, with Black. I'm pretty sure if I search the Opening Explorer, we will find this position happened for sure. My exposure. Oh no. You're better off being exposed to like nuclear radiation. No, I mean B4 wing gambits can always be played. I mean, this isn't a stupid idea because Black's king is in the center. I mean, B4, the idea of playing B4, you know, knocking out that pawn on C5 isn't silly. It isn't trivial. I'm surprised no one played A3 here, honestly. But I mean, this looks good. Morales has played like this before, so I think I like castles. And like the question is, what's Black's best move? And the answer is probably what, like Bishop E7. Can you keep feinting closed Sicilians? You're gonna have to commit one way or the other. D4 is a mainline fianchetto, Scheveningen classical. So Paulsen, I don't know. This is like 3 different Sicilians, whatever. But I guess the question is, can White benefit by delaying it somehow? Okay, you have E5 maybe. Now it's Kuprejcik again against Kurt Hansen, 1988. Maybe you should look at Kuprejcik games. Actually, Morales, have you? So okay. Anyway, you play D4 right away, and now we're into a kind of standard Sicilian fianchetto variation. Takes. I mean, so the standard, what, Paulsen reaction is takes and Queen C7 or Queen C7 right away. If Black tries to play the Scheveningen now, you don't have this trick like takes E5. Maybe it's not that great because Black can play this. Half of me like wonders what would happen if you sack the exchange here for Black. Wow. 2 players, no one had the cojones to do this. But it looks pretty obvious to me that this is an extremely dangerous position if you grab that exchange. I would be like very scared. This is very, very unclear. But anyway, White is not obligated to do that. So you probably wouldn't. Morales wouldn't do that. Queen C7, slower, standard. So now we got a Paulsen fianchetto variation, castles, and now Bishop E7. So if you play D6 here, you transpose to, no, D6, rook E1. D6, rook E1, Bishop E7, Knight C6. That's the Scheveningen fianchetto. D6, rook E1, Bishop E7, Knight takes C6, B takes C6. This is my game with Feugl. This is a very famous position. Geller, right? I forget. I drew Foigle here with black. The computer says it's like pretty close to equal, I thought. Okay, half pawn actually. It's better than I thought for white. I've played this for white too. So he goes bishop e7 right away. That's fine. Rook e1. So d6 transposes. That's what happens. So this happened in the game. He played this line. Okay. So d6 is a mistake. Thomas Breinson had some games with me. T Streets. How do you draw that? Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It's not that bad. It's like half a pawn. I was pretty scared, but Foigle couldn't really generate anything. I was happy with the draw, though. This was like 95. I don't know. Igor is very strong. He just put pressure on me for like 35 moves, and somehow it was... We traded some pieces, and it was a drawish. It's a famous position. I can't remember where it first appeared. Geller? Probably it's Geller. But anyway, this position, yeah, so takes, e5. There's an interesting move there, knight a4 apparently. There's a famous plan for black if he has time to get it in. If you go for the c4, black tries to play like c5, knight d7, knight b8, knight c6, knight d4. But, okay, e5. And now black didn't know the line. I never considered playing this. Unsurprisingly, it looks like it's bad. Takes. And he didn't take, he played knight d5. So, okay, he has to take. You have to take back with the rook. Black castles. And you play chess now. I have a game here. If you look at the opening explorer, I can't believe I don't have any games. I mean, I definitely had a game on my stream in this position. Indexing 307 other players first. Are you serious? I had 3 games with white. Okay, anyway. So b takes c6, e5, d5, rook e5. So d5, rook e5. Black's supposed to castle. And then, I don't remember what Foigle played. I don't remember what he played. It was too long ago. It was 30 years ago that I played this game. It was a draw. White's a little bit better, but it's not that bad. These pawns are famous, actually, guys. Well, we got Chesteslav watch streak reached. These are famous pawns, especially in the Caro-Kann. They're like, do you know what these pawns are? I learned this 30, 40 years ago. They're the best isolated duo. Like, if you're going to have isolated pawns, the isolated A and C pawns are like the least bad of isolated pawns. Very typically, Caro-Kann structure. If black can play like c5 later, maybe trade the bishop off with bishop b7. They're not that easy to attack. It would be better for black if this one was back, probably better if the A pawn is back on a7. That's more common Caro-Kann situation, like a7, c6, or a7, c5. But it's kind of useful that the pawn controls b5. On the other hand, the pawn on a6 is easier to attack than a pawn on a7. But it's a fact that a lot of people don't know. Like, these pawns aren't that bad. A lot of grandmasters will routinely play the structure. You know, you got like Uncle Yermo playing the black side of the Caro-Kann. He knows the structure is not so bad. Anyways, black played knight d5 instead. Takes. And I never tried to do this for black. I suppose you could try other moves, but this looks fine. Now knight e4. And obviously, you know, c4 is going to be... It's like the four knights variation. He just plays the routine move now. I mean, I would consider queen b8. I mean, the queen has pretty good mobility, even though it's going back to the first rank. Your opponent played queen c7. To be honest, he has to consider this too. But the queen is somewhat exposed there. It would also prevent c4 temporarily. You probably just play something like a3. I don't know. Let's see. Queen d8 is best. And wow, all moves lose for black. I didn't think that black's position was that bad. He's lost here. c4. Yeah, but bishop f4 is coming. Thundercats. Oh, man. So, bishop f4, e5, bishop takes e5, knight d6 check. Is it one of those things? Yeah. He can't go to b4, though. He just gets trapped. It just occurred to me. Maybe, I mean, whatever he does is bad. But this is funny, though. Bishop f4 and then e5. He thinks he has e5. And the funny part is, well, I mean, maybe it loses both ways. Bishop takes e5, queen e5. Like, even this might win for you. No, he defends c6 laterally. So you have to go knight d6. And the point is, like, he's pinned there, so he can't capture. Typical Morales. But I've always played these type of lines with black. You know, I think the critical question comes around, you know, move 9, move 8, even move 7. If we go back to the master database, bishop b4 has been played here 4 times. It's not right, though. I mean, that's been played against me, too. Black can't afford to give that piece up. But there's something about this position that's confusing me. Okay, knight takes, queen c7, castles. So knight takes d4 is the standard. Knight takes d4 is the standard Paulsen move. Knight takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop c5, and now this is like where it starts. There's bishop f4. I remember Alexander Ivanov playing this in the Aeroflot Open in 2004. Alex loves the Fianchetto stuff. Very Geller style, very Karpov style. But you don't have to go bishop f4. You can just play queen d3. Michael Adams. All right, good game, Morales. So next up, we have Karpov-Kasparov from 1993, Linares. Yeah, that's theory. I had some simul games with Thomas Rainston in that. It's not that easy for white to get an edge, though, you know, in that main line. The engine says white is better. Queen d4, bishop c5. Yeah, that's what I just said. Okay, fried chicken. Would you look at a chess top mom game? You have to cover up the name of the site in the PGN. You have to be a subscriber, first of all. And you have to hide the identity of the playing site where you played it. All right, next. Only subscribers, so subscribe, guys. Get a benefit. Friends with benefits. Friends with benefits here. Chess Zebra is gone. Wow. So this is an old game. Not World Championship match. This is 93. So remember that Karpov, sadly, embarrassingly, ended his chess career by losing a match to Nigel Short. And he deserves the kind of shame. Which was very sad because if silly Nigel Short, you know, hadn't ruined Karpov, then there was a chance there would have been like a match. We could have had like a unification match. It would have been nice to have one more match between Karpov and Kasparov because the 90 match was really close. Karpov could still play in 1990, and I think that like one last match would have been very cool. Kasparov would have won again, but it would have been really close. Like the match in 90 was very close, and there were fantastic games that they played. And Short had to come along and like ruin it. He wasn't even close to Kasparov. Plays a match with Kasparov, that was a joke. Um, he's a chess tourist. History lesson. Yeah. No, but it was heartbreaking, Camel Culture. That was my favorite World Championship matches of all time. Probably my favorite World Championship matches. Like 87? Was it 87 or 87 and 90? And Karpov loses a match to Short playing the fucking Budapest Gambit. It was absurd. But it was all okay. It was all messed up by the Kasparov and the PCA and Campomanes and all this political stuff at the time because they wanted to break away from FIDE, and it's more complicated. But the bottom line is this was played in that time, 93. Kasparov and Karpov, they should have played one more World Championship match. This is the match, kind of like at the time when the match that never happened. But Karpov must have been very depressed, dude. I mean, imagine, how does Karpov feel like losing to Nigel Short? When did that happen? In 92? Wasn't it 92? Then, how does he show his face at the board against Kasparov? All right, d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6. So at the time, Karpov also played a shitload of things against the King's Indian. He played the Samish. He played the Fianchetto variation. He played the white side of the classical. Am I missing anything? Samish, Mar del Plata, classical, Gligorich variation. So that's two kinds of classicals. So you got Gligorich, mainline, Samish, and Fianchetto. That's four. Though I guess he didn't necessarily always play against. Yeah, he played Kings of and Fianchettos. He liked to play against the Grunfeld too. You got to deal with four. FIDE's always been corrupt, but all sports organizations are corrupt. FIFA is corrupt, giving Trump. Imagine FIFA giving Trump peace medals and peace trophies and shit like that. The most corrupt sports organizations in the world are like FIFA and FIDE. They rhyme. I don't know Karpov played the Makaganov Iatan. Never in a game this level. We're talking about Karpov. He played the Petrosian system, probably. I'm not sure. He might have played the Petrosian system. I don't know. But I don't remember him playing H3 against anyone on the level of this. But Samish was one of his go-tos. He also had some good games with Timan in the Samish. Karpov very strong in the Samish. Castles, Bishop E3, and then C5. This is interesting. C5 was cutting edge at this time, but Kasparov didn't go for it. It was known by now. I was playing it already in 1993, and all the good players were starting to play c5. But Kasparov was kind of a creature of habit. I guess he couldn't bring himself to change. He was happy with what he played, but c5 is the best move. Kasparov played e5 as well as c6 and a6, I think. I don't think Kasparov ever played the Pano with knight c6 or whatever it's called. I think Kasparov played, mostly e5, but also c6, a6. At least one game in the 1990 match was that line. Although you could play a6 first and then c6. I guess that's the proper way to do it. E5. And now Karpov also played d5. And they had famous games in that where Karpov didn't go into the queen sacrifice, the Bronstein queen sacrifice, d5, knight h5, queen d2, queen h4 check. Karpov famously played bishop f2 against Kasparov, and they had a game with like queen e7. I'm pretty sure. Someone plays king d1 here. That's like a Korchnoi idea. g3. Oh no, I'm misremembering. Okay, knight takes g3. Kasparov didn't go into it. Karpov offered it. I'm totally wrong. I'm off base. Kasparov didn't go into it. This is from the World Championship match. Karpov played g3. Kasparov played queen e7. He didn't sack the queen. I apologize for not remembering this. So Karpov had already played this against Belimirovich back in 76. But this queen sack is Bronstein's, brilliance. I used to play this with black. It's a lot of fun. You sack your queen for two pieces. Knight takes f1, queen takes h4, knight takes e3. This is like Yasser's claim to fame, like drawing. He managed to draw Kasparov in this line there in a game in 1989. But I honestly, I cannot for the life of me understand why Yasser would choose to play this. It just seems like such a strange thing. Yasser didn't even really play the King's Indian. He was never really ever playing the King's Indian, although he did play like the Pierts. Yasser's not really a King's Indian player. That's strange. He just wanted to show off against Kasparov or something. So, knight on gd2 from Karpov, c6 now. And then c6 is designed so if white plays d5, you trade pawns. And it's not as scary for white. Well, it's not as scary for both sides because there's an open file here. The game isn't going to be like opposite side castling mania because of the open file. It kind of forces both players to play a little bit calmer. I would explain that as one of the main ideas of the c6. Nevertheless, d5 is a good move. Karpov plays the main line with queen d2. Now knight on bd7, and then if I'm remembering correctly, I think like Kamsky had a game with Tal in the New York Open in this line once when he was a teenager, when I was young, a little bit. Well, around the time of this game, I think it was Queenside Castles, maybe 1989. When did Kamsky move to the United States? 1989, probably 89. So, just a second. I'm just checking. All right, so I'm not sure, but Karpov not one to castle queenside. That's something like Kamsky, Kyle maybe could happen, but 88, 89. I don't think that Kamsky came to the United States till 89. Let me see. So, all right, anyway, we're on to this game. Rook d1 now. It's like a safe move by Karpov. He's not going to castle queenside. And so what does black do? White keeps attention, keeps pressure here. Makes it hard for black to, let's say, like, take. Are you going to be able to play, like, d5? I have a question. Could black try to do this? Does the rook on d1 really make that much difference? Serious question. Look at this position. a6 played in 10 games. Rook e8. Queen e7. Knight b6. Horrible. Knight h5, leaving the center. You don't... Good rule to remember, boys and girls. When there's tension in the center, you don't maneuver your pieces away from the center. Okay? You don't play knight h5 while there's tension in the center. You don't play knight b6 while there's tension in the center. This move, for example, is okay. You know, a6 is okay, but my question is this. If I pawn takes pawn, what does white play? Normally, knight takes. We would always play knight takes. But do you think this is that bad? It's a common idea for black to sack a pawn. I can't help but think, you know, this has to be possible. Black doesn't necessarily get the pawn back right away. I mean, this type of ideas like this happening in the Hedgehog or in the E6 Sicilians a lot. How crazy is this? It doesn't work if Blake can push past, but he can't. You know, E5 is under control. So, say CD, CD. This happened in their match in 1990 in the Gligorich variation, something similar where Kasparov sacked the pawn. But I'm assuming, I mean, white can allow pawn takes pawn. Like, for example, bishop e5, pawn takes pawn, but how do you recapture? Most likely white has to take the pawn. And then we have the scary Kasparov-like Gligorich variation. So apparently it's not enough. Wow, knight b6 is actually playable. Wow. So Slaggy comes up with a novelty. Damn, dude. Slaggy novelty in the house, #1 line, never played before. God, I'm a genius. Bro, I found it on my own instantly. How did Kasparov not play that? So rook e1 is unbelievable. Engine #1 line. Depth 30. E takes d4, knight takes d4, d5. Of course. I'm a genius. I improved on Karpov Kasparov with first glance. But we know things now. But here's another move. Here's something you would get like from a Dubov, right? Or Rockport. This is Rockport already prepared this, probably. Dynamic moves, like b5. Crazy, huh? Karpov's rook d1 looks like a mistake. I think it's a mistake. Normally he would play d5. Let's see if they have a game with d5. Karpov Topalov played 2 years later. Timman actually played this against Kasparov. Karpov Kamsky, 1993. So he's played it in numerous games. Karpov, but they're all later. 93. Okay, maybe the same tournament as this, actually. This was probably in the same tournament. Karpov Kamsky, 1993. Karpov Katronius, 1997, much later. Karpov Dolmatov, 1993. Knight C1 normal. Yeah, but not here. Then you're not John Watson if you play it here. Same rule. We don't move the pieces away from the center while there's tension. You only do that if the center, once we play d5, then you can move your knight to g3 or c1. Exactly. Only that. But what I'm shocked by is that here, Kasparov has this move. Here, after rook d1, he has this move. Maybe he just assumed that Karpov had analyzed it, but it's so similar to the way he played the Gligorich against Karpov. The best line is takes, takes, and if takes, not rook e8. I mean, it's possible Kasparov looked at this and rejected it because he didn't like bishop b5. And it looks like it's a legitimate problem. Still very complicated. It would take incredible energy. Bishop h6. Dude, wait, there's only one move. Knight c2. You could also spend like half your time like trying to work out something that might not even work at all. So Gary just decided not to do this, but he could have analyzed it at home. But rook d1 is probably just a new move at the time. I mean, let's see. 93? No, it wasn't new. It had been played by Sweden back in 1975. Gavrikov versus Gerardo Barbero. Culture, another history lesson. The time that I was at Gerardo's house and Fischer called on the phone and asked Barbero to contact Saddam Hussein. I don't know if you've ever been on my stream when I told that story. That was like 1998, 97. All right. Fischer was here, in Budapest. I was here. Barbero was here. All right, so rook d1's not new, but this is really interesting. Takes, and by the way, you do this in the Pierce, but not in the King's Indian. In the Fianchetto Pierce, this is a really key move. How bad would it be? It's not that bad. Bishop d4 is playable, but it's kind of unnatural here. Knight takes d4, d5. So takes, and now the key is only line for white to get an advantage. Takes knight b6. I'll bet you guys like $50 that Jay Bonin has played this position for black. The guy's played like 7,000 games. He might still be going. 38 special. I can't see. My eyes don't work. 98. This looks like a Jay Bonin game for sure. Jay Bonin, Marshall Chess Club, 1999. White can do like different stuff, but only knight b3. Now rook e8. White has to find king f2. Oh my god, rook takes e3. Sledgy on the trail of very critical variation here. But you know what? All of it doesn't matter because nobody plays rook d1. This is like a one-off. Karpov decided to play it against Kasparov. Notice he never played it again. All right. John Watson not approving of this. Rook d1. a6 now. Pawn takes pawn. WJ Loof, welcome back. Pawn takes pawn is usually bad. Chess farm. Yeah, the most common move here, knight c1. I think that's strange. That's strange. a4 is bad because you got a5 usually. So Kasparov's like making a waiting move. He's like, well, what are you gonna do? And if d5, you play cd and b5. So Karpov's like, well, what am I gonna do? I got no waiting moves. It makes sense. Karpov's not gonna play like g4. a6 makes a lot of sense, but Karpov tries to take advantage of it now. This is normally not a good move. Ever. Because you've put your pawns on c4 and e4, and you have a critical weakness at d4. If black gets into d4, black is clearly better. But, and it's a big but, if white is able to exploit this hole, at the time that I beat Bobby Seltzer in the last round of the Boylston Chess Club, Thursday Night Swiss for $100 in 1993, Karpov does c5. Now that was a different position against the young Boston prodigy, who actually drew Karpov in a simul, or maybe beat him. I can't remember. c5 makes a lot of sense. So he's following the Gavrikov Barbero game. Oh Jesus, it's Sweden versus Ullman in 1975. So that's in the Encyclopedia of Chess Openings. But this is the whole, right? Question. Yeah. Is knight takes e5 playable? It was played. Oh, okay, so Kasparov took with the knight, right? Duh. So this is an improvement. Normally you take with the pawn, but Kasparov is not a dummy, right? So knight takes e5 hitting this. And now what's Karpov to do? Knight c1 is too passive. Knight f4. Knight f4, knight d4, knight g3. All of these moves are possible. For me, knight f4 makes the most sense because it controls d5. It also keeps an eye on e6. It said in case like black decides to play like bishop e6, you're attacking d6. Yes, you have to consider g5 because Bent Larson's going to play g5. I think it's a problem. g5 is a fucking problem. Fuck. Excuse my language. g5 wins for black. So, ugly but effective. You can't play knight f4. Which leaves white with knight d4 or knight g3. And the central square seems superior. But in these cases, I think that black is going to get in c5, the c5, b5 type of stuff. Asterbait is alive and okay. WJ Loof. We've come to find out. So Karpov decides he's going to play b3, keeping the pressure on d6. Now, this all makes a lot of sense. It all makes a lot of sense. Kasparov seems well prepared here. b5, though, there's one problem with b5. It's not the fact that the d5, d6 pawn is hanging, but I'm concerned about c5. I don't remember this game now. You know, I didn't go over all the Linares games. I saw all the World Championship games, but with Linares, I didn't watch every single game. I don't know if I saw this. Did something happen? No, he just didn't have a tablet. His iPad. He couldn't afford to get a new iPad. He claims, but he's okay. b5. He wasn't here for 4 months. Maybe you didn't know because you're like very rarely here. So Asterbait was here for 9 years and he didn't show up for 4 months. That's kind of a big deal. So b5. What about c5? This must be the like assumption. Well, we have c5. Um, Nothing's really jumping out at me, you know. Like this is very strong. There are combos like d5 takes and b4. Now white has to play, allowing black to take with the knight on d5. So I guess this is an issue. Yeah, it's really good for black. So c5 is out of the question. It doesn't work because of d5. So Karpov has to take. Black takes back with the a pawn. And Karpov grabs the pawn on d6. His king is in the center, man. But I mean, what is Kasparov going to do? Trade queens? This is like almost like a harbinger of those, very similar to those c5 gambits in the Samish King's Indian. I think that black can trade queens still have massive compensation. Queen takes d6, queen d6, rook d6, rook e8. So watch this. We can't really avoid the exchange of queens, can we? I was expecting a queen exchange and black has comp. It's totally equal. 0.1 for black, for white here. Black has full compensation, basically. That's what I expected, and that's probably what Karpov expected. But Kasparov doesn't do it. Oh my god. The other move, which is very awkward, is like queen e8. Avoiding trading queens, you've got to consider this. But it's awkward. You know, you block your rook, and you can't play like bishop f8. It's hard to attack the queen on d6. Queen on d6 is very, very strong. So maybe Karpov assumed Kasparov was going to play queen takes queen, and he'd have like a safe end game. It would be like equal. But guess what? Wow. Now it's time to panic. Holy shit. No, this is a very deep move. Feels like Karpov walked into a landmine, you know, in this game. I mean, in terms of like preparation. It's almost like he was trying to avoid preparation by playing rook d1, and he just like Kasparov was just way better prepared than him. f4, which looks insanely dangerous. This is like a mirage type of thing. It feels very desperate for white, you know. But there's what, like routine moves here for white. Knight d4. I mean, this knight is unprotected. If you play knight d4, you got one piece that's not even guarded. This king on e1. I mean, this looks bad. Rook e8 is on the way, and then all kinds of shit is gonna break loose here. So I feel like f4 is real desperation by Karpov, who's in serious trouble, maybe lost. And I mean, what he wants to do is trade pieces if possible. So I think, for one thing, like if you go the obvious move, knight g4, right? I mean, c6 is hanging, but mainly bishop d4. Killing that bishop on g7 would probably save white. If you trade off my Fianchetto bishop on g7, I lose a lot of my attacking potential here with black. And a lot of the ways that I could possibly kill Karpov's king probably evaporate if those bishops come off the board. So knight g4 isn't a problem. But this changes the dynamics completely. Jeez. Well, this was the setting the pieces up for the next game? I didn't remember. Or maybe that was a different thing. But he plays knight b1. You know, what would Rudolf Spielmann do here with black? I mean, I'm thinking of just sacking a piece. Seriously. What if we were to play rook takes a2? I mean, and sack this knight on e5. Wouldn't black have, like, massive compensation for this piece? Seriously? How is this, like, okay for white? Is this better for black? Queen h4, check. Yeah, this is what Rudolf Spielmann would have done. Bishop f2, queen takes e4. Unclear. Unclear. But compensation for the sacrificed piece. And again, that's probably what Karpov expected, right? But Kasparov keeps playing moves he probably didn't anticipate. Now, instead of rook takes a2, which is scary enough, he plays knight g4. We thought, okay, no problem, bishop d4. We're not afraid of that. So I think Karpov breathing a sigh of relief a little bit for a moment. Bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, and now rook takes a2. Now, my first question is, did Kasparov misplay this, or is this his best line? Possible that it's his best line, but very hard to draw conclusions when there's so many different possibilities. I didn't like trading these darks for bishops, but also there are weak squares, you know, here. The trading of darks for bishops kind of weakens both sides. Now Karpov plays h3, forcing move, and now c5. Okay. Setting the pieces up for the next game. Queen g1, because your only other option is d6, but that allows knight e3. So he goes here. Karpov's not the kind of player who doesn't anticipate the opponent's moves. That's what he does. He anticipates opponent's moves. Almost always. Knight f6, and now I expected knight d2 for white here. But I mean, the position is like white's king is getting murdered. You're like defenseless against an axe murderer in this position with white. Seriously. There's an axe murderer running around. You have no weapon. You have no way to call for help. Your only chance, like, he just, like, misses you, you know? I mean, he's, like, swinging this axe around. You're just there, like, there's no way to escape, dude. Zero chance of survival. If he was playing, like, a normal player, like a 2400, maybe e5. I mean, I thought knight d2. Obviously, black can just play rook e8. I mean, things are going to happen anyway. But, I mean, this changes the situation a little bit. If the knight covers e4, for example, I can't put my knight on e4. So let's check this with the engine. Is it possible Karpov panics here? In a bad position, from bad to worse? No. There is no good move. So knight d2. Oh, no way. Rook takes d2. Oh my god. Wow. So Karpov probably saw it. Rook takes d2, rook takes d2, knight takes e4. Kasparov's down a rook. No, he's only down the exchange, actually. This isn't much. He's only down the exchange. He doesn't even sacrifice the piece. Jeez, dude. Yeah, this is murder. Wow. Everybody has a bad day. So e5, knight e4, and now h4. And, yeah, Kasparov's just having fun at this point. Karpov never got his king out of the center. F3 is a very dangerous opening, you know. Karpov like would never he'll play d5 the rest of his life after this game. This you don't forget. C4. Benoni theme. Now knight c1. Yeah, that's why they joked about Karpov setting his pieces up for the next game. I forgot about this. This is ridiculous. By the way, h4 stops queen h4 check. And now Kasparov just trolling his opponent. Bobby Fischer must have thought this was like an arranged game or something. I honestly, I can't imagine what Fischer is thinking, you know. Sitting there in LA, he was in LA in 93. And with his conspiracy theories and stuff, can you just imagine what Fischer was thinking? Okay, it's post Gorbachev, 1993. No more Soviet Union. But Fischer's still like fully paranoid. There's no way that Fischer would believe this is real. You know, I mean, there's no way he believed this was real. It's just fuel for Fischer's paranoia that the Soviets, you know, even though this is post 90, he must have believed. He must have believed. Yeah, this is a conspiracy theory. Like, this is ridiculous. C3. Come on, bro. They made this game up. Knight takes a2. I saw it years ago, but I had totally forgotten. C2. So we win the piece back. You have to. What are you going to do? Rook C1. There's going to be a mate here at some point. So he gives up the rook. Queen d4. Queen. Not a rook. You know, by the way, Kasparov could really troll Karpov here by promoting a rook. He must have been, you know, kind of tempted. But it's bad, you know, it would be bad form. I mean, you're playing in this, like, the world's most elite tournament in Linares. At the time, I mean, okay, maybe second most after, like, Weekends A. Although I think at some point Linares was bigger. You promote a rook here. That would be dis. This is bad form. Don't do that unless you, like, hate your opponent for some reason. I don't know if the Kasparov and Karpov liked each other, but they were civil. C takes. Okay, queen, king takes, knight on d5. And if we can trade queens, everything would be okay, sort of. Queen takes d8, rook takes d8. There's a fork on f2. There's a fork on g3. So you can go only to c1, c2, or e1. Why not e1? Yeah, what's up with e1? King e1. E1 McGregor. Knight g3. And now white has to play rook g1. This is embarrassing. White has to play rook g1 because any other move is like knight takes, rook e1 check, win the knight on b1. You'd have to go here. Oh, God. This doesn't look good. No, simple win, but I mean, everything is winning for black here. Probably just knight takes f1. Yeah. Knight f1, bishop g4, everything's winning. So Karpov goes here, which I guess objectively looks best. And now knight f2. But the main point is bishop f5 check, which is simply devastating. And I don't think the king c1 would have been any better. But probably the same type of line with that and rook d1 check in addition. It's all very bad. Yeah, thanks for sharing that game. 93, the Rodney King riots in LA. I'm under the assumption that Fischer was in LA or Pasadena until he came to Budapest. Well, let's see. The rematch with Spassky, I'm actually wrong. I'm wrong. Okay, so I'm wrong. No, he wasn't still in LA. He was already here, of course, because he had played Spassky in 92? Huh. He had played Spassky in 92. He was in Serbia for a while. Maybe he was in, like, Serbia. Didn't they have, like, some wars and shit? He couldn't have been in LA. So he left the United States before that. Okay, I'm wrong, as usual. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, Fischer Spassky 2 was in 92. So Fischer was already gone. He must have left the States for the Spassky match, and then he couldn't go back. So he was in either Serbia or Hungary between the period of 1992 and 99, whenever he went to Japan and then died in Iceland. All right, do we have any other games, boys and girls? Or am I gonna have to call it a night? What time is it? It's 9 p.m. We started at 6:50. Yeah, this was good. It's 8:57. Last call. Cool game. WJ Loof, get on the game analysis boat. 7 viewers. We're breaking the record here. I gotta start playing poker because I'm perpetually broke. Like our friend from Oslo. You were wrong too. Both rematch and riots were in 92. Well, Fischer luckily, avoided the Rodney King riots. Well, maybe not. It depends on what time of year it was. I don't know if he went directly to Serbia or what he did. I don't know that much. It would be good to, like, I wish I knew Portish because he's really old now, but we only talked once. He used to live in my neighborhood, in my old apartment. I'm sorry, but I feel awkward about, like, hey, Lajos, can I interview you for my stream or something like that? Yeah, I used to run into Portish in the supermarket. But all right, guys, thanks for playing. Thanks for watching. I mean, small stream today. Tomorrow I have my son's middle school graduation, so we're not gonna have a stream tomorrow. Sadly, no Blitz stream tomorrow. That's canceled due to school graduation. So my next stream will be Sunday, Simul Sunday. Congratulations, Move 11. Thanks for being a subscriber and a founder. And Move 11, we're here. I announced that Astrobate is still with us, but he can't log on for some reason. He sent me an email. He's still okay. Everything's okay, but he doesn't have access. So I told him if I win the $40,000 Babby jackpot at the poker club, then I'll buy him a new tablet. I'll send him an Apple gift card. Astrobate's in need of an Apple gift card. Big one. I still don't know why he can't just play on Lichess on his phone, but I guess he doesn't like it or something. Anyway, we all have our weird sort of things that we prefer. But good news that he's okay. Anyway, congratulations. Graduations. Okay, guys, thanks. I'll be back on Sunday with the simul stream. Thanks for watching. Good games today. Bye. Bye. Bye bye.